So just to start out, I think I should definitely make a personal statement, and that is that my goal is not to offend anyone. I was a practitioner. I was sucked into yoga. I was devoted to the practice. I didn't understand that there was a spiritual component to it. I thought that it was just exercise. I didn't see a problem as a Christian doing it, and I didn't see it as a problem if you were secular and you weren't Christian. I just didn't see that there was anything to be worrisome about. And so it's really important that I make that personal statement that this is not a picking on yoga or its roots of Hinduism. This is just more of an informational package so that people who are partaking in it understand what they're stepping into, because it's not what they're being told. There's a lot of undisclosed information that you need to know, and I believe in a God that practices informed consent.
What does the word yoga mean?
Very fundamental and very important. It means yoke, but the symbolic implication is to be yoked with Brahman. Have you ever seen somebody sitting in the lotus position with their hands like this? The people think that's a harmless way to sit and just calm your mind, but that's what's called a mudra. A mudra is a symbolic gesture with the hand or with the body that represents a spiritual concept. The forefinger represents your individual soul, called Atman in Sanskrit, and the thumb represents Brahman, the oversoul, that impersonal life force. When you curl your finger around and touch it like that, it is an invocation. You are invoking Brahman to manifest completely in your life so that you become God manifested in the flesh, so to speak.
For people who don't understand, mantras are incantations to the spirits. A mantra is saying, I want to yoke my spirit with you, Brahman, and any other deity that I subscribe to, that I want to worship.
There are dozens of different expressions of yoga, and Kundalini yoga is supposed to be an amalgamation of all of them, from Hatha yoga, which is the fundamental kind of yoga that deals with asanas, which are physical exercises, and pranayama, which are breathing exercises. People think those are harmless and unspiritual, but they are the third and fourth step of 8 steps that are supposed to lead you to samadhi, which is a Hindu term for an enlightened state.
So what they call samadhi, or they call moksha, it's like you're being liberated from your mind and you're being united with the ultimate reality, which is Brahman. So in other words, you're being possessed. And then here we are, New York Times bestseller. Sadhguru says Kundalini is mind altering. And he says that it's able to change the perceptions and change the chemicals in your brain as your eye is awakened. There is a link for anyone who's interested to see what Kundalini looks like. It looks like demonic possession, like what you would think, like The Exorcist.
So Holy Yoga, we're gonna watch a little video. It's just a little commercial of theirs.
We are serenity. We are peace. We are community. We are yoga. And we are Jesus. I am Holy Yoga.
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 We are Holy Yoga.
I really hope this doesn't offend anyone, but this is just how I see it, how it's kind of like contradicting. When I see holy yoga and knowing the meaning of yoga and what it means in a religious sense, that's like saying holy voodoo.
That's a good point.
It's like, why? And I get maybe the underlying reason why they're doing it, exercise or relief of stress, but call it something else is what I'm thinking at the end of the day.
Exactly, yeah, let's coin a new phrase or something.
Something that hit me was, I started in martial arts and Eastern mysticism and Tai Chi and all that stuff, and was in it for 25 years. And when I began back in the early 80s, yoga was like an extreme. You only saw esoteric, hippie, it was only for the extreme. You never could imagine, like you said, you never say voodoo and holy or it's Christian voodoo. We've changed it. So for me, there's questions there but you're still like, wait a minute, that's like saying Christian pornography. How do you do that?
Right. We live in a world where we are literally putting Christian on everything.
Yeah, and how many stories have we heard where people say, you know, I did it because I had a back injury, I was stretching, and then people said, hey, you can meditate, it just helps relieve stress, and the next thing you know, they're communicating with ascended masters and they're full on in the New Age.
Yes.
So it's this slippery slope, and in the beginning, people are saying, oh, it's not spiritual, it's just a stretching. But I've heard it over and over and over. It always, not always, but a lot of times goes that direction.
If you tell a devout Hindu, I'm just doing yoga for stretching, I'm not in Hinduism, I don't practice yoga for the spirituality, the Hindu may get offended because yoga is a Hindu ritual.
Wow.
I mean, we've made this comparison before, but I guess if somebody was praying, but like, I'm not praying to your God, I could understand that if you're doing that activity that's typically associated with that spiritual exercise.
Or like, hey, could I get baptized at your church? Oh, you accepted Christ? No, I just want to do the baptism thing.
I just want to go into the water.
Yeah.
That's exactly correct. We can take an instance from Ezekiel chapter 8, where the prophet Ezekiel is taken by the Lord to different compartments in the sanctuary, and there God shows Ezekiel that the believers, the 25 Israelites, men, they had their backs to God's temple, but they were bowing to the sun.
Yeah.
And God calls that as the greatest abomination. And these are believers in the church or sanctuary, and they're not chanting. All they're doing is bowing. Prostrate is the right word. So if you look for the word, the root word there for bowing, it says to prostrate. And so they were bowing to sun, S-U-N. And God calls us the greatest abomination. Today, it is called, in the US, it's called a sun salutation.
Yeah.
So the actual word is Surya Namaskara. Surya means sun. Namaskara actually means worship. So people are worshipping the sun. The same exact thing that happened in the time of Ezekiel is happening today in the US in Christianity.
Chanting the same words 10,000 times. That's very mechanical. That's like inserting a program on your computer.
Impersonal.
That's supposed to result in the right kind of output. Well, Jesus even taught, use not vain repetitions like the heathen do.
That's right.
Because right now we're having a conversation. And if I was to sit here and say the same 5-word statement 200 times, how long would you keep me on the set?
Right.
You would exit stage left real quick. It's because you're intelligent human beings, and the way for us to connect relationally is to express a flow of thought in a communicable way, from heart to heart, from mind to mind. Well, communication with God is the same. And I tell people that chanting a mantra is an insult to the intelligence of God. If God was just an impersonal force, it would make sense. Chant 10,000 times and you can manipulate the force to do what you want it to do. It's all mechanical. But if God is a personal God, which He is, then that's not going to get you to the first base. Because you approach Him with your heart, with an intelligent flow of language that He fully comprehends. And prayer is dialogue, it's not monologue.
I don't see how one doctrine can have all of these different things unless you're trying to you're casting a broad net and you're trying to catch everybody. So in other words, it's basically relativism, you know?
Universalism too.
Whatever's God to you is God to you. Who am I to say?
And the God in me salutes the God in you. That's what they say.
But namaste, exactly. So who is the supreme being in Hinduism? And you've heard me refer to him already, Brahman. And they call him the ultimate reality. They say that he's the cosmos, the universe. But he also comes with other deities, but the top 3 deities are the ones that you hear about the most because it's a way to convert Christians. And so they talk about, there's the top 3 are Brahma, the sustainer Vishnu, creator Brahman, the sustainer Vishnu, and the destroyer Shiva.
We pride ourselves, when I say we, I say generally as a culture, pride ourselves on our scientific mindset, which is based on experimentation, observation, and then you line up the criteria, and if it doesn't fulfill the criteria, you toss something out. And so we are very good at discerning, or try to be very good at discerning correct from incorrect assumptions about different aspects of nature and life, etc. Why then do we toss out any kind of discrimination when it comes to spiritual matters, and think that that's bigotry and that's and that's unfair to those that embrace that worldview, and we've got to say your truth is your truth and my truth is my truth. No, wait a second.
Postmodern.
Truth is not subjective. Truth is objective. It's the same for everybody.
That's right.
Whether we accept it or not.
When I was more involved in yoga, they talked about Jesus too. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, he's, like there's ways to see him, right? Like he's a great spiritual teacher. He is the Son of God. He's one of them, There's Krishna and Buddha along with him. And
you're the Son of God.
Right? And I actually went to school with a bunch of Christians, and they did not come out of it Christian. Like some of them still say that they pray to Jesus, but they pray to him as a spirit guide along with these other gods. So it really does affect you. I guarantee you these Christians did not go here thinking that they were going to give up their faith. Yeah, I mean, if you believe in Christianity, then it wouldn't make sense to practice yoga.
That's what's even more ironic about Christian yoga. It's why do we have to put the word Christian with it? If there was nothing wrong with it, I mean, I just don't say Christian pickleball.
Right.
I'm not arguing for pickleball. Why you got to attach Christian in front of it? Because you're trying to make sense of why you're doing this thing that's not compatible. What would you say to somebody that's practicing yoga but is caught in that world of I'm a Christian but I still like the act of yoga? How would you begin to give them practical advice on how to unravel that?
Sure. If you're doing yoga for health as a Christian, then Bible is your book. The people who live longest and strong, they follow the laws of health from the Bible. We don't have a community of yogis living 100 years anywhere in this world. It has never been in the past, to my knowledge. Whereas you have a community of people in Loma Linda, California, who live 100 years. And they don't practice yoga. They practice what the Bible teaches for health. So that is my advice or suggestion, or recommendation rather, for people who are looking for health. Next, please also research on the side effects of yoga. People will have side effects of yoga. Usually the people that I have come across that practice yoga, they have gut issues. Then they also have anger problems, especially the yogis who are into meditation. They have anger problems. And I have not, so far I've not met any yoga practitioner, the ones who do meditation, Eastern meditation, say that, oh, I have so much joy in my heart. In fact, they have always said the opposite, that they have no peace in their lives. And so please do your thorough research. Don't just practice anything, not only yoga, anything for that matter, just because it's giving you health benefits. Just like you read ingredients before you eat, you have to read the ingredients of your spiritual or physical practice also. What does it entail? Ingredients in yoga is Hinduism, Hindu teaching, ancient teaching that you are gods and you will not surely die. And also, yoga will eventually separate the practitioner from Christ. So, yoga initially will give you benefits. As you keep on doing it, it will become a spiritual exercise. It will, and you won't even know it's happening. And eventually, your conscience will be silenced and you will be separated from the Holy Spirit, which will lead you to commit the unpardonable sin. It is that serious.